Okay, everybody, we are at Doolittle Garden. I said we, it's me. Doolittle Garden. And I was starting to make videos for Doolittle Garden. I set up a Doolittle Garden YouTube channel, and then I started looking at some training on doing videos and posting videos, and all of a sudden it became more about all the production value and making sure things look good for the camera, and it just took all of the fun out of it for me. So thankfully, I am working in a new position. I don't have a lot of time to do videos, but it has also freed me up to just do what I loved in the beginning, which was just share my passion and my love and my experiments and kind of let you see the progress. So today, just a few days ago, I discovered a bunch of sap all over our peach tree, and it just felt like it came out of nowhere. There's no other apparent signs of stress to the tree. We didn't get any fruit this year, but I kind of chalk that up to a possible combination of things. The tree's still a little bit young. We had a very late frost, so I wasn't really too worried about this tree until I saw all this sap. So I immediately started doing some research, and I did get some good tips that started to point me in the right direction. But like a lot of these chat forums, so a lot of times you get a lot of really well-meaning, well-intentioned people that share information, but they really don't know what they're talking about, and the information can be maybe confusing or just flat out wrong. But it's really helpful to at least give you a place to start. So when I posted pictures of the sap on this tree, and I'm going to show you it because it's really fascinating. There was a couple things that I think were wrong, things that were partially right, and then things that were just totally interesting. So there's a couple of reasons apparently where peach trees especially, but stone fruit in general, can start to bleed sap. And the two answers that I got were Gummosis and peach tree borer. And where I think some of the comments went kind of wrong is some people said it's Gummosis and nothing to worry about, which is not entirely true. And some people automatically said it was peach tree borer and that you had to start treating with chemicals or mechanically removing them, and that would be the only reason for that sap. And that is also not entirely true. So what I learned with just a lot of really quick research is that, from what I can tell, and I want to be completely upfront, I am regurgitating a lot of information that I've gained recently, so probably still more research and expertise is needed. But from what I can gather, the tree that is bleeding sap isn't automatically Gummosis. Some say that any kind of sap bleeding is Gummosis. Some indicate that Gummosis is a specific result of like a bacterial or a fungal infection. Some will say you'll get Gummosis if you have peach tree borers. Some say you'll get it as a secondary effect of peach tree borers. So there's a lot of kind of misinformation, I think, out there, and that's just a symptom of our internet culture these days, where people regurgitate information out of context. So definitely, I don't have the expertise to answer that specifically, but what I'm out here today to do is I'm going to inspect the tree more closely. I did learn that peach tree sap is, I don't know if delicacy is the right word in China, but they do eat it as a snack. So I'm absolutely going to try a bite of that, because mine is not down near the dirt. It is up clean and on the trunks and the branches, so I'm not worried about any bugs or sawdust or dirt, and I'll be looking at it closely. But I'm excited to try it. A little bit scared, gonna admit, but my main goal is to get down around the base of the tree and start looking for those pests. Doolittle Gardens peach tree, it's about 4 years old. Just based on my past experience, by this size, it probably should be producing quite a few peaches by now, and not exactly sure why it didn't this year. We did get some blossoms, not a ton. We did get a bunch of little tiny baby peaches that never grew and just fell off. I found one peach that was the size of maybe twice the size of a pecan in the shell, and it seemed to get like a a bug in it or something. It had that clear frost coming out. So still a little bit of a mystery on actual fruit production, but otherwise, if you look at the tree, I'm going to try to kind of show you the fence and the gate here. Please pardon my weeds. We're doing a little bit of chaos gardening this year. But otherwise, it looks healthy. No sign of leaf curl or even any brown spot. The tree is, when I pruned it during dormancy, I had a really pretty thinned out goblet style. Lots of light was able to get down into the center, and then it just went boom, and all of this growth has happened. I think I pruned it in February. This is the 1st of August, and it just went nuts. So I feel like the tree itself has been really healthy. And then the other day I came out, well, the first thing I want to point out is I have been following a practice called chop and drop, and near this tree, very, very early on, I made the mistake of planting a thorned blackberry. And I didn't realize what a mistake it was at the time, but kind of over where that dead cherry, ground cherry is, was a giant blackberry bush. It was thorny, it was sharp, it was almost impossible to walk by, and any attempts to get by it or through it or around it were so painful. And I finally sucked it up and pulled it out as much as I could, still getting some blackberry suckers, and I imagine I will for a while, but I'm trying to be really diligent and stay on top of it. But what I have been doing, when I cut down all the canes, and anytime I pull up a sucker or do any kind of pulling up of any old spent plants, I've been throwing them around the base of this tree as a chop and drop. There's a saying when it comes to trees that new trees grow, or new forests grow on old forests. And what that means is trees by nature love the fungal hyphae and that whole network that happens underground, and they speak to each other, and there's evidence that they feed each other. There's evidence that they help treat each other's diseases. So chop and drop is, in general, for trees, a really, really good idea. The other day I learned that potentially peach trees you do not want to mulch or chop and drop them because of the peach tree borer. I guess the eggs get laid down at the base of the tree, and something about the chop and drop or all the materials touching the base of the tree make it easier for the larvae to kind of get in there. Maybe it makes it easier for them to get in, or it just makes it easier for them to go undetected. So at least one peach tree orchardist that I watched a video on peach tree borers recommended not having anything around the base of the tree. So what I'm going to do today, I have got my foot protection on and I've got a tarp that I'm going to lay down because those are mostly blackberry canes. I'm going to put some gloves on, and I'm going to get all that cleared away so that I can see the base of the tree and maybe see what's going on. Before I do that, I wanted to give you a better view. One of the things that I'm a little bit suspect isn't as everyone says. So all of the videos that I watched on peach tree borer, the sap tended to be the tree kind of basically trying to bleed or push out the borer, and so the sap only happened where the borer was. In my case here at Doolittle, we have this sap everywhere. It's all on these main trunks, all the way up. See that? All the way up, and it basically kind of stops right at the tree line. And when I pulled a piece off earlier, and I'm going to do it again just to see, but when I pulled a piece off earlier, I could not see any evidence of any kind of boring. So let me see if I can get this guy here. So it's a little bit hard, and if I pull it off, see that? There's no hole. I'm sorry if it won't focus. Let me see if I can get that to focus. There's no hole there. So it's not like there's a critter in there that is pushing this out, and there's no sawdust or any evidence of any kind of boring. So that's one clue. I did notice that some of this is happening like where there was a cut, maybe where it got pruned. So just doing a little bit of investigating, but right now, right now I'm going to focus on getting the base of this tree cleared away. Okay guys, so I told you that the peach tree sap apparently in China is kind of like a snack or something. I don't know if delicacy is the right word. I don't think that's the case, but in my last post, and I'll try and dig it up again, I actually had a picture of like a bag from like a Chinese grocery store or convenience store where it actually just had little balls of peach tree sap. So I said I was going to try it. So I inspected this piece very closely. There is no bugs, no frost, no nothing. So I'm going to put it in my mouth and see what I think. Well, the good thing is it's not horrible, but it's a bit of a letdown. It has no flavor at all. I was expecting maybe a little bit sweet, but it seriously has no flavor. So maybe I'm not sure what the appeal is, but peach tree sap, there you go. Okay, getting ready to hit the base of this tree, but I wanted to give you a heads up. I am going to be digging away around the base of the tree, and if I see any evidence of peach tree borer, I'm going to be using this guy to dig it away and dispense of the peach tree borer. So if you don't like seeing little things get killed, just a fair warning. Okay, this is a little bit of what my instinct was telling me I was going to find, which is nothing. At first glance, I'm going to dig around a little bit more. I've just moved away the major logs and the chop and drop that I've been doing, but I am not seeing any telltale signs of borer. But I also heard that one thing that can stress the tree out is if the logs and the stuff that I did early on collected dirt around the base of the trunk, it's basically like burying it or planting it too deep, and that can also cause stress. So I'm going to dig a little bit, do a little bit more investigation, see what I can find. And hey guys, I am trying to keep an eye with my eyeballs as well as dig and keep this camera, so forgive me if I drift off as I'm kind of trying to see with my eyeballs better too. So right here I was kind of looking, there was a little bit of sap, but there's no sign of any decay or digging. And I'm going down a little bit and I'm not seeing any signs of, at least, where most of the videos that I watched on peach tree borer told you to look here at the base, including there was a Texas peach tree orchardist who grew trees commercially, but he did it kind of naturally, so he didn't use a lot of sprays and stuff. He just would check his trees frequently and remove them mechanically. So his is kind of what I'm going off of the most here, and I am not seeing any signs of borers, at least down here at all. So I'm gonna pull away a little bit more of this dirt, and then we're gonna look some more up high to see if we can find any answers. Now I am seeing a little bit of curl in the bark here, and this is right at the base. This tree's about 4 years old. I would say that trunk's about 5 inches in diameter, so I don't know if that's a sign of anything, but as soon as you get up here past the oldest part of the trunk, it gets pretty smooth again. I don't see any of that peeling, just that's kind of the last of it right there. These new main branches, sorry guys, I need to try and focus or else this is going to be really boring for you. Anyway, let me try and back up a little bit. I don't see a problem on these main branches with peeling. Also, one of the things I was told to look for is kind of like a white fuzz that might be a sign of a fungal infection on the bark, and I'm not seeing any of that either. Let's see, will you focus for me? Sorry. There we go. So there's some of that peeling bark, and then as we go up from the oldest part of the trunk, it starts to kind of go away until you get to some main branches. And then, oh, I did find a lot of snails. Not sure that they're doing any real damage, but we do have a ton of snails in Doolittle. And I'm not going to peel them off, because I know for a fact if I peel them off, I'm going to take off a little top layer of bark, and since we're trying to investigate if there's an issue on the skin of the bark, I'm not going to pull him off right now and expose the tree, so he gets to stay there and be happy. So I thought you might find this kind of interesting. This is fungal and it is hyphae, but it's not bad stuff. This is the stuff you want growing in the garden. And it's just called fungal hyphae, and it typically shows up on rotting wood, which there was some rotting logs up against that part of the tree. So pulled that away. You can see where this sap right here, it's a little darker, and that was kind of right up against the dirt and the logs that were around the tree. So I will keep an eye on that, but I tested it and poked it, and it's not soft or rotting, or again, no signs of anything digging in there. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it. This is clearly where a prune was done early on. And see how it's darker? So one of the tips that I learned was if you smell this and it's got a distinct smell, that it could be bacterial. So we'll check it out. Right now we're just investigating and just not finding any explanations for this little bit of sap. There's another area over here, but it doesn't look, where did it go? This is hard to do with the camera. There we go. This is like a perfect little ball. And I can push on it, it's soft, but it's gotten a little hard on the outside where it's dried. All right, time for a smell test. More than you ever wanted to know about peach tree diseases. But one of the videos that I watched, the woman had a peach tree with, she called it Gummosis. It had some peach tree sap coming out of certain spots. It wasn't all over like it is here. And she talked about a bacterial infection that the tree was dealing with, and that you could sometimes tell that because if you found an area of really dark and blackish sap, you could smell it and there'd be a distinct smell. She described it as almost like a beer smell. Well, I just tested ours, and it was a darker area of sap, and it was in an old cut where the tree had been trimmed previously, and zero smell whatsoever. So no white fuzzy stuff, no damage or injury, no branches broken, nothing has run into this tree. It's in a very sheltered spot. No sign of peach tree borers yet. So there's one more possibility that fewer people mentioned, but is actually more of my suspicion. I'm a little bit torn between whether it could be fungal, and I'm just not seeing and I maybe wouldn't see the evidence of that. But we also just went from a relatively mild spring to 3 or 4 days over 100 degrees. So I am just wondering, my very untrained, very inexpert instinct is that this tree just got stressed out. So I'm going to do a little more investigating, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start removing the sap just in case there is any kind of fungal or bacterial infection. Yes, I am aware I just ate a piece, but I'm going to go ahead and remove that just in case there is, so that it doesn't continue to spread on the tree. All right, be right back. Okay, so I did start removing the sap from this trunk, and two things. One is I did notice that the sap did kind of appear to be following some of these cracks in the bark. So based on the little bit that I've learned, I am starting to suspect maybe this has more to do with sun scald than anything else, which is not pest or disease pressure. It is just a temperature, sun kind of thing, which could potentially mean this is nothing to worry about, and just give the tree some food and some water, help keep it healthy and strong, and it should recover just fine. So and plus I was noticing as I was removing some of the sap, there were places where the bark was tearing a little bit, and I thought, you know what, if I keep going, I may be doing more damage than good by tearing this bark and exposing it even more. So I decided to stop. Not gonna lie, partially I decided to stop because I'd only done one branch and this was gonna be a lot of work. But I do think, based on what I'm seeing, if this is sun scald that stressed this tree out, then it's really not necessary to remove this sap, and I could just do more damage than good. So even though I started out this video by talking about not doing chop and drop and not doing mulching, honestly, my gut is telling me that I have seen, now that I know what they look like, I have seen peach borer wasps in Doolittle. If they're what I think they were great big scary things that would buzz my head when I was working in here. So I didn't know what they were until now, but I've seen them in the garden, and I honestly, because we have absolutely zero peach borer damage down here at the base, it's just as likely that having branches and logs around the base of this tree, because I know the trees like the fungus from the rotting logs. Again, like I said, new forests grow on old forests and decaying wood. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to push the logs back up close to the tree where they had ended up, but I am going to go back and I'm going to get some chop and drop material. I've got plenty of things in the garden here that are kind of spent and done, and I'm going to just chop them up and lay them on the ground around the tree as fertilizer, and I'm going to give it a really, really good water, and probably won't do anything, but I think I'm going to go ahead and give it kind of a rinse. So as I water, I'm going to just try to get the tree really good around the base and the trunk and everything, just to potentially rinse off anything that I don't want there. But even like, I don't know if I can catch this guy because he's kind of far away from me right now. But even though we are heavy into grasshopper season, and I remember the first spring after we planted this tree, the grasshoppers almost looked like they had taken it out. They ate almost every leaf off of it. And even though we are loaded with grasshoppers in the garden right now, I'm not hardly seeing any damage to the tree, and no sign of any problems on the leaves, like I said. So that's the plan. I think right now the big strategy is fertilize, take care of the tree. And when I say fertilize, I just mean plant material chopped and dropped around the base that will decay and give the tree nutrients. Give it a good water and cross our fingers and wait to see what happens.